Welcome to the Selling from the Heart podcast on the Salescast Network. You've joined a global movement of sales professionals who are dedicated to being authentic and building trust. We call it Selling from the Heart. Together, we are on a mission to bring sincerity and substance to the sales profession we all love. Get ready to be inspired and equipped as we join our hosts, Larry Levine and Darrell Amy.
Are you ready to discover what sets the best workplaces apart? We are so proud to introduce Culture from the Heart, our newest show launching in January. We'll be diving into conversations with the CEOs of heart-centered companies, leaders who built cultures that inspire and thrive.
And we're on a mission to find the heart-centered CEOs of America. Join us as we uncover the secrets behind award-winning workplaces and learn how these visionaries lead with purpose.
And you can help. Do you work for a company with a heart-centered CEO? We would love to interview them. You can nominate them now at www.culturefromtheheart.com. Look forward to the show in January, and if you have a CEO that's heart-centered, nominate them today at www.culturefromtheheart.com. Hello and welcome back to the Selling from the Heart podcast. Your co-host, Darrell Amy, here today with Larry Levine. What's going on, Larry?
Hey, great seeing you. I tell you what, there's a lot of things I like about Selling from the Heart, Darrell. But what I love the most about Selling from the Heart is having conversations with super great people. Y'all are in for a treat today.
Nigel Green is back in the studio. This is going to be a powerful conversation. And here we are. The new year is off to a great start and just massively excited about all that's ahead this year and the community of people it's Selling from the Heart in this global community of sales professionals that are dedicated to being genuine, being authentic, building trust. We call it Selling from the Heart. The friends that we've been able to make along the way are just maybe the best part about all of this.
Yeah, just a huge shout out to a dear friend of mine. He's a great sales leader, oversees a great sales team, Mike Boxa. You're an incredible guy. I don't hold it against you that you're a Chicago fan and I'm an LA fan, but you're a great guy. Thank you for being a part of this community. We appreciate you.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, hey, today is going to be a phenomenal conversation. We've got Nigel Green back in the studio. You know Nigel, he's the author of Revenue Harvest, a sales leader's almanac for planning the perfect year. And guess what? Nigel has recently released his latest book, How to Hire Elite Salespeople, where he delves into effective strategies to build top-tier sales teams, something that he's been doing for decades. After leading teams to generate over $50 million in annual revenue, Nigel shifted his focus to coaching, conducting workshops aimed at doubling team revenues and serving on advisory boards for companies in the healthcare industry. He's also contributing regularly to Entrepreneur Magazine. Today, Nigel will share insights from both his books and his extensive experience in sales leadership. So here's the deal. Whether you're looking to enhance your sales team's performance or improve your hiring strategy, or maybe someday get involved as a sales leader, Nigel's practical tips and his deep knowledge are going to provide you with the tools you need for success. So we're so excited to have Nigel Green back in the studio. Nigel, welcome. It's wonderful to have you here.
Oh, fellas, it's my pleasure. It's good to be with you. This is I think my third time on the show, it feels like it's been maybe one or two, at least 2 years maybe since I've been on the show. So we got a lot of ground to cover.
Hey, y'all are in for a treat. Let me tell you, y'all in for a treat with Mr. Nigel Green.
Yeah, Nigel is definitely one of my favorite thinkers, thought leaders, and all-around great guys in the sales industry. And you've answered this question 2 times before, Nigel. I'm curious today, what does it mean to you to sell from the heart?
I think that, like I said, I've answered it 3 times. I don't know how many ways I can say the same thing. I met Lisa Earl McLeod probably almost 2 decades ago. And she wrote a book called Selling with Noble Purpose. If you guys haven't had her on the show, you need to have her on the show. And there are a few books in my leadership career that have just been stop everything. This changes the way I think about something. And her book, Selling with Noble Purpose, talks about the study that they commissioned. They surveyed, I think it was 10,000 different sales reps in different industries, different tenure, and we're trying to figure out, what does it mean? Like, what are the patterns of someone that's really good? And I talk about this study in my new book, How to Hire Elite Salespeople, because it is that important. Selling from the heart is, yes, it's important to find a company that is going to provide structure, whether that's the training, the compensation plan, the resources to go hit that comp plan. It's important to find a company that will allow you to achieve your goals in life. I think it's more important, leaders, to listen to this, to find people that, after the environment that you provide for them to sell helps them accomplish all their circumstantial goals, that the offering they represent is so strong to who they are as a person, it helps them achieve some form of actualization and some form of fulfillment. What this study in the book showed was that the most compelling indicator of a future salesperson's not just success, but ability to be President's Club, top 10%, rep of the year, is that they have some connection to the offering that is deeply and profoundly personal.
Mm.
Mm.
And so when you hire people and you're interviewing them, yes, they need to have the DISC profile. Yes, they need to meet all the roles and responsibilities and qualifications. But our job in the interview process is to see how they light up when they start talking about what our offering, or an offering like ours in our offering category, impacted them personally or the life of someone that they know. And if we can do that in the interview process, light bulbs will go off. You're like, it's not, you don't get to skip all the other things, but if you can do it in addition to the qualifications, you've got someone that can be elite. That's what it means to sell from the heart.
Oh, I really like this. Plus, Nigel, no one's ever shared what it means to sell from the heart in the way that you just said, but I got to ask the why question. So here we are, right? We're in 2025. Why is what you just said so important today than ever before?
Because I don't know that there's ever been a time in modern history where so few buyers wanted to talk to a salesperson. And so when you are facing, as a seller, and we all are, if you've been selling in the past 5 years, you face all this headwind around, AI, the dehumanization of salespeople, outbound, scale, structure, automation. I don't want to talk to anybody that's selling me anything. And so people that are so passionate about the offering, they don't really have to sell. They can connect. You feel their energy, even if it is in an email or if it's in a Vidyard video. They sell very differently than the drone that is very gifted, has all the tech to write their message and the sentiment that matches the way you communicate based on your personality style, that's done all the research to know where you went to school, where you live, what you're interested in. That stuff doesn't even work anymore. So the ability to say, I know that this works because look what it did for me, or look what it did for my family, or look what it did for my business, or look what it did for my friends, that increases the chances that someone's actually going to pay you any attention.
So powerful. And I want to tackle this conversation today from two different angles. I want to think about our friends that are sales leaders and building their teams. And also want to think about our friends who are sales professionals who are building their career and thinking about all of this. And this conversation, I think, is going to be super relevant to everybody that wants to thrive and flourish in their career in sales. So sales leaders, let's think about people who are building sales teams. And by the way, if you're a sales leader, if you haven't already hit pause and gone to grab a copy of this book, you want to grab a copy of how to hire elite salespeople. You know, I've said this on the podcast before. I say this every time I talk to Nigel. His book, Revenue Harvest, is the best book on sales leadership and planning that I've ever read. I recommend it all the time. So if you don't have that one, go ahead and get both of them at the same time. Get the 1-2 punch on this. But Nigel, as you're thinking about a sales leader today, I know, we talk to a lot of sales leaders who are frustrated. They're frustrated trying to find good people, and there's a temptation when it's hard to find good people to, do the old fog a mirror thing. Why is that? Why is compromise in that area such a bad idea today? And what can sales leaders do about it if they feel like it's hard finding the right people for the team?
So, thank you for your praise for Revenue Harvest. I get that a lot. It's the best sales leadership book I've ever read. What I'm hearing from people about this new book, How to Hire Elite Salespeople, is that it's their least favorite sales leadership book. And which is kind of awesome to me.
I think that's the kind of compliment a guy like you loves, right?
Yeah. And so, but I think the reason why they don't like it is because I say things that are in line with the sentiment that you just shared, which is, well, if I hire this person and train them, I hope they will work out. Or, I've got to hire 7 people by this, we're early in the year now. So a lot of sales leaders are, if they haven't already satisfied the pressure of getting this new fully staffed team up in Q1, they're feeling it now. And so they make concessions. They use hope as a hiring strategy. And they know, well, if I hire 7, 4 might work out. And then so they talk themselves into conceding. And the reason they do it is they think they have more time than they actually have. And that's one of the, I think, the prevailing reasons. The relationship to time is distorted in a couple of ways. The first way is in their actual time in the week and in the month, they think they have more time to train and develop than they actually do. And they don't. The second, and I think probably more powerful relationship to time that gets distorted, is they think they have more time at the helm than they actually do. So think about that. They think they have more grace, more of a runway to get a team up, to make it successful than they actually do. And so one of the things I'm always trying to destruct in my sales leadership coaching program are the leaders that maybe it's their first time in a mid-market equity-backed company, that time is everything. They have to grow the business in a certain way by a certain date in the future to satisfy the return requirements that the portfolio company will have when they sell it. And they think they have more time in the job than they actually do. So I think that's the biggest reason. I could go on and on about this, but there's so many other things that I want to talk about for the sales leader that is looking to hire elite salespeople, and for the salesperson that needs to hear what I have to say about it. So we can go there, or we can go somewhere else.
Keep going. Just keep going.
So when you hire someone that isn't elite, you put a burden on the product team, the marketing team, the rest of your sales team, and if you are like the company that I work with, all of your sales managers and sales operations people. And that costs real dollars. Okay. The more people you hire to solve for a gap in revenue attainment, like to capture what marketing is, the demand they're creating, the more bodies you throw at it, the harder it is to pivot and shift, because salespeople get comfortable in a certain pattern, a certain process. And if you launch a new offering or make a pivot in the marketplace that you're going after, it takes them time to adjust to that. because they're worried about what's in it for me, my comp plan, my customers that I have now, how I'm selling it, the fact that I'm playing golf every Friday, and you just boogered that up. So now we start worrying about ourselves. And when you have more bodies worried about themselves, it makes it harder for you to get traction in this new direction. I think the best teams have fewer headcount and loads of technology and external coaching and resources around them. I will always advocate, give me 4 Patrick Mahomes and I'll throw everything at them and everything they need in the locker room, all the physical training, all the coaching, everything that they need over giving me 12 backup quarterbacks. They're all really good. I mean, they're in the NFL. So they meet, they're 6'6", they can throw it, they can run a 4.4. They were great in college. That's what a lot of sales leaders are doing. They're going out and saying, I've got 3 open spots on my roster. Who meets all of the obvious requirements? And let's bring them in the system. They don't have this mindset of, you actually have to win a Super Bowl this year in order to get a chance to play for next year's Super Bowl. We're not trying to win a Super Bowl in 3 years. We have to win it 3 times in a row, which means you better go get some Patrick Mahomes. And so they have to learn the non-obvious. And here's where that gets tricky for some types of sales leaders. Those that are really good at selling, they can't identify the non-obvious skill sets. So let me give you another football example, and then we'll bring it right back to selling. If I were to stand Patrick Mahomes, who is won more Super Bowls, more Super Bowl MVPs, he's going to probably go down as one of the best quarterbacks ever. If I were to stand him in a room next to Johnny Manziel, Jamarcus Russell, Trevor Lawrence, my quarterback here in Jacksonville, you wouldn't be able to notice anything different about him. And if I put him on the field and had him throw the football, run, lift weights, you still wouldn't be able to notice anything different about them. That is how we do interviewing in the sales organizations now. Something as lame as sell me this pen. I don't believe anybody's doing that anymore, but that's an example of like what we're asking salespeople to do, to tell me about your work history. Oh, by the way, you give me your references. You tell me who I need to call to tell me that you're good at what you do. Show me your sales quota attainment over the past couple of years. Here's some common objections that we face. How would you overcome them? Or how would you do a 90-day territory review? Well, no joke, they're going to be able to do that in a way that makes you believe that they're going to do this. Yet in football, some of the coaches can look at those quarterbacks I just listed, and they have some non-obvious skill sets that they're looking for, that they use the interview process, because make no mistake, those quarterbacks have to interview for that job to determine who's real and who's fake. And if you're sitting here and you're saying, well, geez, Nice, how do you do that? If your interview process doesn't look like the buying process, you're never going to hire the right person. And here's the next trap. Let's double click on that. Most of you, Mr. CEO, Miss Sales Leader, think you know your sales process, and you don't. You don't. So you have to go study the reps on your team that are really good. And it has to be through the lens of what are the non-obvious. And so if your sales leader was a Patrick Mahomes, they're not going to be able to do that for you because they have the curse of knowledge. If they're so good at selling, they're going – and if you've got a sales leader that was a really good salesperson, when you go to ask them for advice, chances are you're going to get something like, we got to have more grit. You got to work harder. You got to get up early. You got to make more calls. You got to listen more. You got to do more pre-call planning. Well, yeah, but every elite salesperson already is doing that. So what do I have to do differently? And that's where we get into the non-obvious stuff. In football, it is this belief that I have to win a Super Bowl. There's no other way around it. And you validate that belief by seeing the way they whiteboard plays, the way they study film, the way they do more than what's required in the weight room, and the way that they can see the game a couple of plays ahead. Like I heard Patrick Mahomes get interviewed, and he said, "I'm just trying to live in third and medium." So anybody that knows football knows that on first and second down, all he's trying to do is get into 3rd and 5 and 3rd and 3. That's all he's trying to do. There aren't a lot of salespeople that understand what the proxy is in a sales job. And I'll give you a little bit of a hint of that. The elite salespeople, the equivalent of their third and medium is, I'm trying to build a pipeline that is so robust that even if, and it will, even if and when things do go bad and I have a bad month, it's still going to be better than what the company expected for me, because I have this purpose in my life that is to win a Super Bowl, whatever that is in your career or in your industry or in your company. And there's nothing in February, March, or April that's going to stand in the way of me achieving that. Those are the non-obvious things that will keep you from drinking too much, expensing things that you shouldn't have expensed on your expense report, that ultimately get you terminated, for sleeping in at the sales meeting because you had too much Friday night. All of these things that have nothing to do with playing the game of selling, but ultimately cost really talented players their career in the league, are costing so many sales reps a chance at being elite because they're good enough to get the job, but they're never good enough to be untouchable in the role.
Powerful. Well, before we shift this a little bit, Nigel, I've got this pen here. Actually, I'm a big fan of this pen. I could sell this pen. I believe in this. This is a friction erasable pen. It's changed my life. That's another episode. I'm curious, when we think about the salespeople out there, and you talked in the beginning about working to find people that really, really believe in this. And I think, the flip side of this is, as a sales professional, how do I go out and find a place, a home where I want to go win a Super Bowl, where I really want to perform? We're talking about this right now all the time with CEOs in our new show, Culture from the Heart, which, by the way, if you're listening in and haven't heard Culture from the Heart, you want to go listen to that. Because I think we're really passionate about salespeople being able to find a home where they can sell for a company and sell a product or service that they really, they get up in the morning excited about and passionate about. So what advice would you give to our sales professionals listening in who feel like they're not quite in that place yet?
Go audit your credit card statement and your calendar. What are you spending money on, and what are you giving time to when you're not working? Okay. And then you've got to figure out, am I doing this to numb or because it's really passionate? Sometimes we spend money and time on things that numb us and take life away. That's not where we're going. But if you dig deep enough and think hard enough, you're going to find merchants that you spend money with, coursework, brands that you support or buy clothes from, gyms that you go to, events that you like to attend, conferences, and then your time. If you had a perfect Saturday, or if the wife and kids were gone and you got to go home and just watch whatever you wanted to, that wasn't Netflix, but it was life-giving. Like, what is that thing? What are you so fired up about? For me, I love coaching. I just love coaching. If I could go be a professional football coach, I don't even know that I would, just because of the demands on the life. Okay. So this is the step. First step, go figure out that thing, and then figure out how you can, what are all the ways you can scratch that itch in a way that meets your requirements for life. Like, I'm never going to go work at Northwest Missouri State for $30,000 a year to just cut my teeth at being a football coach. But I want to be a football coach because I want to be around people that love the game and want to compete. Well, I get to do that now by choosing the sales leaders I work with and the companies I work for. And I think if you're a salesperson and you're listening to this, if you ask the people around you and then you looked at your bank statement, looked at your time, I think you'd come up with 10 things that you could do. And what I also know to be true is there's never been a better time to go chase that and monetize it. We get charged for everything. There's a company out there that is monetizing everything in the world these days. So go figure out how to do it. And I think that it's what stops us is not the clarity on what we should be doing, but the stories we tell ourselves about why it will fail. And I look at salespeople and I'm like, you literally get told no every single day. Why are you telling yourself no? Like, come on, let's go.
Hey, I'm really loving this. And are you referring to, and I think I know the answer, but from listening to you, Nigel, it seems like what you're talking to is these elite people that are out there. They understand their purpose. They understand their why. They understand their internal values and things like that. So when you say, audit your credit card statements and all that, are you basically saying if you do this, you're going to unpack what you believe in, what are your strengths and all that? Am I tracking with you on this?
Yeah, you're going to get in the same zip code.
Yeah.
Then it might take some work with some people that you trust, mentors, if you have a coach, people that have watched you work, to once you get in the zip code to figure out what's the street, which might mean what are all the ways you can express these values in a selling role, down to the street number. Here are the 5 companies that you need to go and have a conversation with.
I like that. Super, super practical. And this alignment of finding, from a sales leader's standpoint, finding those people who want to win a Super Bowl, or in my case, a Stanley Cup, whatever sport you're passionate about. And by the way, if I were winning a Super Bowl, I would go after Josh Allen. He's my guy. So, but that's once again, another show, another podcast, but this, the sales leader side, but then also the rep saying, hey, how can I find that place where there's congruence, where there's alignment, where my heart comes alive, and where I love how you said, we've all got to do the reps. We all got to do the pre-call planning. We all have to do the work, but where's the place I'm going to go to work where I'm going to feel passion and put in that put the heart into it that's really going to drive me to be successful. As we wrap up here, what a great conversation. Nigel, what other words of wisdom would you offer? Maybe some of your favorite things that came together when you were putting this new book together for all of us.
I'll share one last thing, and it's in the 4 Laws of Hiring Elite Salespeople chapter. It is the chapter that everybody hates, but most people go back and reread. And there's one of the laws. I'm going to share this with you because it applies to sales leaders that have to build a team and sales reps that are looking for a way to become elite. I said earlier that, make no mistake, Patrick Mahomes and Trevor Lawrence and these elite level quarterbacks have to interview. Okay. But I'm going to get really specific about something. Everyone interviews. Elite salespeople do not apply to jobs. They don't apply to jobs ever. They interview because the elite salespeople might interview because they found the passion, the way to express it, and the companies that could get them there, and they proactively went and got that job. Okay. The elite sales leaders know the reverse to be true. You have to go interrupt Patrick Mahomes winning a Super Bowl and convince him to come play on your team. He ain't applying to your LinkedIn post, buddy. He's too busy in the gym getting it done.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so that's the one thing that is immutable, whether you're a salesperson or a sales leader. Stop applying to jobs. It's not going to get you what you want.
Mm-hmm.
And stop posting your job and sifting through a bunch of people that can't sell or haven't sold.
Boom.
Gold.
Pure gold. Pure gold. What a great, great conversation, and what a great gift to the sales world. How to hire elite salespeople. I know everyone's thinking, how do I get a copy? Well, you just go to Amazon and grab a copy. How do I get more Nigel Green in my life? How would you answer that question, Nigel?
Well, you can go to my website, nigelgreen.co. I've got courses and content. You can find me on LinkedIn. I post pretty regularly and I'm pretty responsive to any LinkedIn messages, and we can have a conversation. And if you want to hire me to assess your sales team or to coach you as a sales leader, or if you're a CEO and you've decided that you are tired of hiring sales leaders that only make it 6 months at best, you can retain me to go show you why your interview process is wrong and how to go hire a sales leader that sticks.
So
I
good.
love it.
It's
I
always
love it.
good hanging out with Nigel Green.
Yeah.
Always
Thank you,
good.
Nigel. You're a true champion of selling from the heart. We appreciate you, man.
Pleasure's mine.
Awesome. Awesome. Always a provocative conversation with Nigel Green. And Larry, I don't know about you, but I think you're going to agree with this. The more we can align our passion for what our passion for life. I love how Nigel said, go to your credit card statement,
Yeah.
go to your calendar, look at what, where you invest your time, you invest your money, and what sets your heart on fire. Start going down the road and go, can I make a connection with those, my passion and my career? And this is where I think we've got tremendous opportunity. If we want to get to the next level, if we want to move to the top 1%, to be elite, we need this fire. And yes, of course, sales leaders, you need those people on your team as well.
I've always said this, right? I mean, elite, the elite of the elite, look forward to Monday.
That's right.
They're fired up on a Saturday. They're fired up on a Sunday because they need some downtime, but they know come Monday, lights are on. I'm ready to go. They look forward to it. They're passionate about it. That's what lights their fire. They don't have the Sunday grumbellies.
Well, and a tip of the hat to our friend Nigel. Come Monday, it will be all right. So he's smiling in the green room. We've got so many great conversations coming up here this year. And here's our ask. Would you share this podcast with your friends in sales, with other sales leaders, and CEOs? We're on a mission. We're leading a movement of authenticity and trust right here in this sales profession we all love. And a huge thank you to everybody who's sharing this podcast, whether you watch it on YouTube or listen on the audio platform of your choice. We're grateful for you, and we absolutely love this community.
Yeah, it's without you, this doesn't exist. So we appreciate you. By the way, hang out, because after winter comes spring, and right around springtime is our 8th birthday. I'm going to just shout it out there. The Selling from the Heart podcast in 2025 in April, the springtime turns 8 years old. This all happens because of this wonderful community.
What's that, like 3rd grade? I think we've got more years to go.
I have no idea.
Hey, everybody, thanks for listening in. We'll see you next time. Till then, keep being genuine, keep being authentic, keep building trust, develop the passion of an elite performer, and most of all,
Sell from the heart.